The Violet Conqueror twin moons cast eerie shadows across the command deck as Commander Rena reviewed the holographic display of Earth hovering before her violet fingers. "Target assessment complete," she said, her voice carrying the chill of deep space. "Primitive defenses, multiple settlement zones, minimal aerial capabilities." Kai, her tactical officer, nodded respectfully, keeping a careful distance. "The humans have concentrated their resources in these regions." He indicated glowing clusters. "On the projection, they appear to have no knowledge of our approach." Rena's lips curved in what some might mistake for a smile, though anyone who had served under her for more than one campaign knew better. "Predictable, just like the last 7 worlds," she said, circling the hologram with measured steps. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their weapons will be useless against our shields." "Should we commence the standard protocol, Commander?" asked Cooper, her second-in-command. "Full orbital bombardment followed by ground forces." Rena paused, studying Earth's blue-green surface with calculating purple eyes that had witnessed the fall of countless civilizations. "No," she decided. "Intelligence suggests unusual adaptability in A. This species. I want to observe their response patterns first. Deploy advance units to their secondary settlements. Minimal force authorized." Sarah, the communications officer, looked up in surprise. "Minimal force, Commander?" she asked, before quickly adding, "That's a departure from established conquest procedures." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop several degrees as Rena turned her gaze toward Sarah. "Are you questioning my tactical decisions, officer?" she asked softly. "No, Commander, absolutely not," Sarah replied quickly, lowering her eyes. "Good." Rena moved to her command chair, settling into it with fluid grace. "I've conquered 37 worlds for the Mieran Empire. My methods aren't open for debate." She tapped a sequence into the control panel embedded in the chair's arm. "Prepare dropships for deployment cycle. We begin at dawn." Later in her private quarters, Rena reviewed the detailed files on Earth's defenses, watching footage of human military exercises with mild curiosity. Their formations were interesting, almost elegant in their simplicity, yet something about their troop movements suggested a creativity she rarely encountered. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Enter," she commanded. Kai stepped through the doorway. "Final preparations complete, Commander," he reported. "The advance teams await your order." "They understand the parameters?" Rena asked without looking away from the screen. "Minimal destruction observation priority." "They understand, though some have expressed concern," Kai admitted. "The Empire rewards results, Commander, not restraint." Rena finally turned to face him, her expression unreadable. "The Empire rewards success, Kai," she corrected, "and success requires understanding what we're conquering before we destroy it." "Of course, Commander," he said with a slight bow. "There's one more thing. Intelligence has identified a particular human of interest, a physician named Dr. Chen, who appears to have developed medical techniques unknown even to our scientists. Some suggest his knowledge could be valuable." For the first time that day, genuine interest flickered across Rena's features. "Mark his location," she ordered. "I want him taken alive during the initial assault." After Kai departed, Rena stood before the viewport, watching distant Earth growing larger as her flagship approached. She'd led countless invasions, crushed rebellions on a dozen worlds, and never once questioned her purpose. But lately something had begun to shift within her, an unsettling sensation she couldn't identify. "Just another conquest," she whispered to herself, as Earth's oceans came into view. Nothing more. But deep in the recesses of her tactical mind, a strange thought surfaced. Perhaps this world would be different. Perhaps here something unexpected awaited her. In the darkness of space, Rena almost smiled at the absurdity of such notions. Sentimentality was a weakness she'd eliminated long ago. "Commence approach sequence," she ordered through the comlink. "All units prepare for deployment." The great engines of her warship hummed in response, carrying her toward yet another world that would soon kneel before her empire's might. But for reasons she couldn't explain, Rena felt an unusual anticipation for what tomorrow would bring. The healer's courage dawn broke over the refugee settlement with fingers of golden light that belied the terror of the previous night. Dr. Chen wiped sweat from his brow as he moved between makeshift beds, examining patients with gentle efficiency. "You're going to be fine," he assured a young woman with a bandaged arm. "The nanogel is already repairing your tissue." "They say more are coming," the woman whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "The aliens, they're everywhere." "Focus on healing," Dr. Chen replied with a calm he didn't feel. "That's all any of us can do right now." The medical tent flap opened as Arya, his assistant, rushed in, clutching a portable scanner. "Alex," she called, using his first name in her urgency. "Military transmissions are going crazy. They've detected more dropships entering the atmosphere heading this way." Dr. Chen nodded, continuing to check the woman's bandages. "How long?" 20 minutes, maybe less," Arya replied, lowering her voice. "The evacuation transports are loading now. We need to move these patients immediately." "These 4 can't be moved," he said, gesturing to the critical cases. "I'll stay with them. You go with the others." Arya stared at him incredulously. "That's suicide, Alex. You've seen what these aliens do to resistance." "I took an oath," he said simply, meeting her gaze. "I won't abandon patients who can't defend themselves. Go now while there's time." Outside the tent, chaos erupted as civilians rushed toward evacuation points. The settlement's minimal defenses were already activating volunteers manning antiquated weapon systems against an enemy whose technology made them seem like gods. Dr. Chen worked methodically, preparing emergency supplies, administering stabilizers to his remaining patients. His hands never trembled, though his mind raced through scenarios each more desperate than the last. The first explosion shook the ground 15 minutes later, much closer than he'd expected. The aliens were advancing faster than anyone had anticipated. He heard the distinctive whine of their energy weapons, followed by human screams that abruptly silenced. "It's okay," he told an elderly man who'd begun to shake with terror. "Just breathe deeply. The sedative will help." The tent wall suddenly disintegrated in a flash of blue light. Dr. Chen instinctively threw himself over his nearest patient as alien soldiers entered their armor, shifting colors to match the tent's interior. 2 flanked the entrance while a 3rd approached. "Him weapon raised, I'm a physician," Dr. Chen said slowly, raising his hands. "These people are non-combatants requiring medical attention." The alien soldier paused, helmet tilting slightly, before a voice emerged, translated into mechanical English. "Commander requests your presence." Before he could respond, the tent's remaining wall collapsed, revealing the full scale of the invasion. Settlement buildings burned against the morning sky. Advanced dropships hovered above, disgorging more troops, while human defenders fell in scattered, desperate groups. And walking through this tableau of destruction came a figure that made even the alien soldiers stand straighter. Commander Rena moved with predatory grace, her purple skin luminescent in the morning. Light, sharp eyes taking in every detail of the ruined settlement. "Dr. Chen," she said, his name flowing strangely from her alien tongue. "Your reputation precedes you." He stood his ground despite the fear tightening his chest. "I have critical patients who will die without treatment." Rena studied him for a long moment, head tilting slightly in a gesture almost bird-like. "Interesting. Your first concern is not for your own survival." She gestured to her soldiers. "Secure the medical supplies and transport the patients to our field medical unit. You're not killing them." Dr. Chen couldn't hide his surprise. Something flashed across Rena's face too quickly to interpret. "We're not barbarians, Doctor, merely conquerors." She stepped closer, examining him with unsettling intensity. "Your nanogel regenerative technique is unknown to our scientists. You will share this knowledge. And if I refuse, you won't," she replied with calm certainty. "You're a healer. You'll save lives regardless of species. That's your nature." She gestured toward a waiting transport. "Come willingly, Doctor, and I guarantee your patients will receive care. Resist and I make no such promises." Dr. Chen looked back at his patients, then to the burning settlement, finally meeting Rena's calculating gaze. "I'll come," he said quietly, "but I want to treat them myself." Rena's lips curved slightly. "Negotiating terms of surrender, Doctor. How unexpected." She nodded once. Acceptable, you've made a wise choice. As they walked toward the transport, Dr. Chen felt her watching him with an interest that seemed beyond mere scientific curiosity. Something in her manner suggested she found him puzzling, a reaction he hadn't anticipated from a being known for ruthless efficiency. Your world will fall, Dr. Chen, she said as they reached the transport. But perhaps not everything valuable will be lost in the process. He looked directly into her alien eyes, finding something there that gave him the first glimmer of hope since the invasion began. Perhaps not everything, Commander, he agreed. Perhaps not everything. Captive conversations. The medical bay aboard Rena's flagship gleamed with advanced technology, far beyond anything Dr. Chen had ever seen. Patients floated in regeneration chambers, while robotic assistants moved with precise efficiency, monitoring vital signs and adjusting treatment protocols. Your patients are recovering well, Rena observed, standing at the entrance, her tall form silhouetted against the corridor lights. Our medical director reports your nanogel formula has applications. We hadn't considered. Dr. Chen looked up from the diagnostic screen he'd been studying. I'm glad they're improving, he said carefully. Though I imagine that wasn't your primary reason for bringing me here. Perceptive. Rena moved into the room, her steps silent despite the metal flooring. Walk with me, doctor. I find these medical chambers somewhat confining. It wasn't a request. Dr. Chen fell into step beside her, noticing how the alien crew flattened themselves against walls as she passed, their eyes downcast in deference or fear, he couldn't tell. 3 weeks you've been aboard my ship, Rena said as they entered a vast observation deck with views of Earth spinning below. You've treated your human patients, shared your medical knowledge, and observed our technology. Yet you've asked no questions about your fate or the fate of your world. Dr. Chen paused at the viewport, Earth's blue oceans making his chest tighten with longing. Would answers to those questions change anything, Commander? Perhaps not, she admitted, stopping beside him. But most prisoners beg for information. For reassurance, you've done neither. I'm focusing on what I can control, he replied, watching clouds swirl across his home planet. Each life I save, each person I help, that's real. Everything else is speculation. Rena studied him with those unsettling purple eyes. You're unlike any captive I've encountered, she said finally. Your species fights with admirable though futile determination, yet you show no hostility toward me. Would hostility serve any purpose? He asked, turning to face her directly. You hold all the power here, do I? Something shifted in her expression. Power is rarely as absolute as it appears, Doctor. She gestured toward a small seating area. Join me. My questions require a more extended conversation. They sat in curved chairs designed for bodies different from his own. Dr. Chen found himself leaning forward to maintain balance while Rena settled with natural grace. Your medical techniques suggest a mindset foreign to my experience, she began. You've developed methods to heal rather than simply repair, to restore function without erasing damage. Why? The question surprised him. Because healing isn't just about efficiency, he explained. Each person carries their history in their body. Scars tell stories, remind us of what we've survived. My people believe imperfection is weakness, Rena said. We modify, eliminate, replace anything flawed. And what happens to your sense of self when nothing original remains? He asked. Rena went still, her eyes narrowing. An intriguing philosophical question, Doctor, not one commonly posed by species facing conquest. Perhaps that's why you keep conquering, he suggested, before he could reconsider the wisdom of such boldness. You're searching for someone who sees differently. The temperature seemed to drop several degrees, Rena's posture shifting subtly. Careful, Doctor. There are boundaries even valuable prisoners shouldn't cross. I apologize, he said, though his gaze remained steady. Medical habit, looking for underlying causes rather than symptoms. To his surprise, a sound emerged from Rena that might have been laughter. You're diagnosing my empire's expansion as a symptom, Doctor. How remarkably audacious. Their conversation continued for hours, ranging from medical ethics to cultural differences. Dr. Chen found himself fascinated by Rena's quick intelligence, her perspective so alien, yet occasionally revealing, flashes of understanding that seemed almost human. "Your world has beauty I hadn't anticipated," she admitted, as darkness fell across Earth below them. "The diversity of ecosystems alone deserves study." "Will that beauty save us?" Dr. Chen asked quietly. Rena turned to him, her expression unreadable. "Nothing is decided yet. Conquest follows protocols evaluations." She paused. "Recommendations from key advisors. And what will you recommend, Commander?" Their eyes met, and something passed between them, a current of understanding that transcended their different biologies, different worlds. "That remains to be seen," she said, her voice softer than he'd ever heard it. "I find my standard metrics insufficient in this case." Later that night in his quarters, which, though comfortable, remained a cell, Dr. Chen replayed their conversation. His scientific mind analyzed every nuance of their interaction, while something else, something more instinctive, responded to the complexity he'd glimpsed beneath her conquerors' facade. Meanwhile, in her private chamber, Rena reviewed surveillance footage of Dr. Chen treating patients, human and alien alike, with the same gentle competence. His hands moved with precision, his voice remaining calm even in crisis. "Computer end. Playback," she commanded, rising to approach her viewport. Earth hung suspended in darkness, a blue jewel among stars. In 3 decades of military service, she'd overseen the subjugation of dozens of worlds, never questioning her empire's right to expand. But something about this planet, about one particular human, had awakened questions long dormant. "Weakness," she whispered, pressing her palm against the cold viewport. "Or evolution." For the first time in her life, Commander Rena found herself without a clear tactical path forward. The protocols remained unchanged, but something within her had shifted, irrevocably altered by conversations with a human who saw the universe through eyes both foreign and strangely familiar. Ancient revelations. "These readings can't be right," Kai muttered, examining the sensor data. "Commander, these ruins predate both our species." Commander Rena and Dr. Chen stood amid crystalline structures that pulsed with faint luminescence deep beneath Earth's surface. The expedition had begun as a routine resource survey before unusual energy signatures diverted their attention. "It's some kind of historical archive," Dr. Chen said, studying symbols etched into translucent walls. "Look at these figures. The proportions match both human and Mieran anatomy." Rena approached carefully, her fingers hovering above an activation panel. "These are definitely Mieran glyphs, but intertwined with symbols I don't recognize." "May I?" Dr. Chen gestured toward the panel, and after Rena's nod, pressed his palm against the surface. The chamber erupted with holographic images, humans and Mierans working together, building cities, trading knowledge, living in harmony. The timeline showed thousands of years of peaceful cooperation before devastating conflict tore them apart. "Impossible," Rena whispered, her purple skin paling. "Our historical records begin after the Great Collapse. We have no knowledge of prior contact with Earth." "History, written by survivors," Dr. Chen said softly. "Perhaps both our species chose to forget rather than confront our shared failure." As they explored deeper into the ruins, the evidence became undeniable. Their peoples had once been allies, perhaps even friends, before war destroyed their alliance and erased their shared history. "What does this mean for us now?" Dr. Chen asked as they examined a final chamber showing representatives of both species reaching toward each other across a divide. Rena stood silent, conflict evident in her expression. "I don't know," she admitted finally. "Everything I've believed about our civilizations, our purpose, our differences." A sudden tremor shook the ruins, sending dust cascading from ancient ceilings. "Seismic disturbance," Kai reported, checking his scanner. "No, wait, these are weapon signatures, massive orbital bombardment directly above us." "I authorized no such attack," Rena snapped, activating her communication implant. "Command center report, static," answered. Then Cooper's voice broke through. Commander hardliner elements have seized control of 3 battle cruisers. They're targeting major human population centers claiming to act on Imperial authority. Rena's eyes met Dr. Chen's horror, reflecting. Between them, "We need to get to the surface now," she ordered. "This changes everything." As they rushed toward the exit, Dr. Chen caught her arm. "Rena," he said, using her name without title for the first time. "Whatever happens, remember what we saw. Here we were meant to be allies, not enemies." Her hand covered his briefly in a gesture that bridged millennia of separation. "I remember," she promised, "and I won't forget again." Choosing a new path. The command deck erupted in chaos as Rena strode. Through the doors, Dr. Chen following close behind. Officers shouted coordinates while tactical displays showed cities burning across Earth's surface. "Status report." Rena demanded, her voice cutting through the noise. "Admiral Thraw has declared, you compromised by human influence." Cooper explained. "He's ordered full planetary bombardment, claiming to act under Emergency Protocol 7. Override authorization, Rena Alpha 69. She commanded. "Codes rejected, Commander." Sarah reported. "They've locked us out of the weapons grid." Dr. Chen watched as Rena's expression hardened into something terrible and beautiful. "Then we do this differently," she said. "Activate all ground forces, direct them to civilian evacuation assistance. Not combat. Cooper, prepare my personal shuttle. Kai, coordinate with remaining loyal vessels to form a defensive screen around major population centers." "You're defending Earth?" Cooper asked incredulously. "I'm preventing a massacre," Rena corrected, "and potentially the loss of the greatest discovery in our history." She turned to Dr. Chen. "Your people need to know they're not facing a united enemy. Will your leaders listen?" "If we can reach them, yes," he said. "But Admiral Thraw will face me," Rena finished directly. The battle unfolded across Earth's orbit and atmosphere. Rena's loyal forces turning against their own fleet to protect human cities. Below ground, human Mirren cooperation emerged as soldiers who days earlier had been enemies now worked together, evacuating civilians aboard Admiral Thraw's command ship. Rena faced her former mentor, his aged purple features twisted with disgust. "You betray everything we are," he snarled. "For what? A human doctor, ancient ruins, sentiment." "For truth," Rena replied. "For a future beyond endless conquest, our peoples were allies once, Thraw. We can be again." "Weakness," he spat. "The Empire will never accept this heresy." "Then perhaps the Empire needs to change," she answered. "As I have." The conflict lasted 3 days before Thraw's forces surrendered. Faced with unexpected resistance from both species, fighting together, Rena, standing on a hilltop overlooking a human city, where Mieran medical units treated wounded. Civilians watched as Dr. Chen approached. "The Combined Council has agreed to peace talks," he said. "Your testimony about the ruins convinced enough leaders on both sides." Rena nodded, watching the twin suns set behind distant mountains. "Everything changes now." "Are you afraid?" he asked, standing close enough that their shoulders nearly touched. "Terrified," she admitted with a small smile. "Conquering worlds was simple. Rebuilding together is the real challenge." "Worth it, though," Dr. Chen suggested, his hand finding hers, their fingers intertwining in a gesture echoing ancient carvings they had discovered together. Rena looked at their joined hands, purple against tan. 2 species evolution had shaped differently, yet somehow made compatible, yes. She said softly, "Worth everything." As darkness fell, they remained together, silhouettes against the starlit sky. 2 individuals who had changed the course of civilizations not through force, but through the most unexpected power of all understanding, that beneath different exteriors beat hearts capable of the same courage, compassion, and love. "What happens now?" Dr. Chen asked. "We build something new." Rena replied, "Together." And in that moment, between stars and shadows, between ending and beginning, 2 worlds stepped back from destruction, and toward a future neither had imagined possible until they found each other.